I swear to disc golf Jesus, if I see a spoiler comment, I'm gonna throw a fit. What's up, degenerates? I'm Jefferson, and alongside me, as always, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, breaking down everything you need to know from the Portland Open. This might be the first event this season there wasn't some drama surrounding the tournament. And you know what? I'm not complaining. I mean, it does make my life a whole lot easier. So Swiss, hit the people with the FPO recap.
The second Elite Plus event of the year in Portland Open is the start of an 11-week stretch of elite events or higher here and overseas. Portland Open has featured tight battles, large crowds, exciting play set on the gorgeous manicured greens, which features oversized Douglas firs that gets cat excited. And with Buhr's dismantling of the MPO competition, most of the weekend's excitement would have to come from the FPO. A field void of Kristen Tatar and dgpt point leader Evelina Salonen still saw a breakout performance from a relative unknown in Sofia Donica, course record-setting performances, and what just might be what the FPO division needs the most, the reemergence of Paige Pierce. Owen Scoggins came out of Thursday's action in the lead with a 7 under, doing it in classic Owen fashion, with anti-flex forehands that just seemed to go, consistency on the putting green, and a sprinkling of highlight C2 putts, which included two 60-plus footers. Owen would have a single-stroke lead over Kat Murch, yet with Paige squeaking her way onto lead card 4 strokes off of Owen, the Pierce quote-unquote return narrative continued from her OTB run, which lasted until about halfway into Sofia Donica's course record-setting 10-under second-round performance. Donica might look like an REI commercial who dehydrates her own food, but also just might be disc golf's version of the most interesting person. The British Columbia native is a Harvard grad chemist rock climber with a doctorate. A photographer, researcher, once ran a marathon because it was on the way, wearer of Baja hoodies, and knower of when to use there, and there, while also having as much distance off the tee as the best in the game, a confident smooth putting stroke, and the savviness of a touring vet already, despite it being her first dgpt Elite Plus event. Sophia has done an exceptional job breaking onto the scene in the few events this year, and with the FPO field split and starved of star power storylines, was the perfect moment for a breakout performance that hopefully Donica could take advantage of, if she chooses. Her story began in Las Vegas. She went into the final round with a lead at LVC after an 11-under day 3 round, only to lose it to Lucky on the final day. A top 15 at her first dgpt event at OTB Open, a top 10 the following week at Cascade Challenge, and then this weekend's breakout performance.
Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Disc golfers might be struggling, but that doesn't mean your mental health should be too. No more therapy sessions on the course with the help of today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. Have you ever not been able to talk to someone in your life because of the fear of burdening them with your problems? Don't worry, I do that every disc golf round. Now I don't have to bother Swiss Cheese about all the mistakes I've been making. No more worries with BetterHelp. It connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Best part is, you can do it all from your phone or computer via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you, all from the comfort of your home. Visit betterhelp.com/discgolfworld or choose Disc Golf World during sign-up and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
Donica's strong game this weekend opened the eyes to most in the community, while also adding yet another international competitor into the FPO mix. Fared well in front of the cameras and an impressive spectator field. Was one of the best off the tee, finishing 3rd in tee to green over the 4 days, on her way to her first dgpt podium finish of her career, in her second elite event ever, mind you. The 3rd place finish would have been the talk of the weekend, had it not have been for Paige's performance. Paige began moving day on Glendover's East Course, 3 strokes off the lead, only to put together a performance reminiscent of Paige's past heroics. Scored 11 birdies on the day, carved up the course, and led in C1 and C2 in regulation on the day, and would finish with a 2-stroke lead over Owen and Kat Murch heading into the final. Paige, who was once the media darling of the FPO, who received the largest payday of an FPO player and considered by most as the best FPO player in the game at one point, only for her competitiveness and greatness to be put to question as the community seemed to sour on Paige. That was after her PDGA battles, misfortunate promotions surrounding her hitting 1,000 rated, that documentary that captured her breaking the 6 World Championship that never came, a season plus of yips that was filled with worse PR statements that annoyed most. Nobody has forgotten that top 40 in the MPO mess. while Kristen Tatar's dominant play and style skyrocketed her to stardom. Had a disastrous ankle injury last season that put her career into question and had most expecting little from Paige moving forward. Credit needs to go to Discraft for standing by their player in that time of need. Signed her to a 2-year deal this offseason while she was still in a cast, mind you, and also worked with Paige on a new disc release, The Drive, allowing Paige to chip away on her recovery, get her feet back under herself, literally, and improve her play. First to return was her putt that was up there in the game this season despite her finishes. And with the help of that Drive disc release and commitment of her sponsor, it might have gotten her control off the tee together also, and at least in position to get her first victory in over a year. Paige would kick off her final day round with a tap-in birdie on hole 1 that extended her lead by a stroke or better than the rest of her card mates. The third most difficult hole over the entire weekend on both tracks was only birdied 8 times total by 7 players over the 2 rounds. A statement start that was more reminiscent of 2022 Paige and put the FPO on notice. By hole 3, she would have a 4-stroke or better lead over the rest of the field. With the weather getting worse, the only person who could beat Paige was herself, even with a charge in Holland Hanley. The only battle would be for second place as Paige cruised to an easy victory and her first Elite Plus win of her career. While an emotional Paige fighting back tears during her post-round interview showed just how difficult last year and a half has been, and with it, maybe some returning fans. Paige threw 37 points over her rating for the event, which was close to her previous highs of her career. With it, the hopes that Paige can maintain this play for the rest of the season, which if possible, would add on top of already the most competitive field the FPO has ever seen. Holland Hanley is having a stellar season that sees hot round scoring that puts her atop the podium nearly every week. And Portland Open would be no different. In the worst conditions on the more difficult track, saw Holland from Chase Card score an 11 under on the final day that moved her up 3 spots to a second place finish. Kat Mertz has looked strong on the West Coast swing, finishing in 4th place, her first time outside the podium after back-to-backs at OTB and Cascade Challenge. Some other shout-out performances: Emily Weatherman continued her solid run as of late. She moves into the top 25 in dgpt points after an 8th place finish. Rebecca Cox is having a solid season that has gone under the radar, is currently in the top 10 in dgpt points, and has finished in or near the top 10 at most events, while taking 7th place at Portland Open. Anna Kinstein had the only ace over the 4 days, getting the hole-in-one on day 3 on hole 16.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
Day 1 talk was mostly surrounding Drew Gibson, who finally put together a round hotter than his takes this year for solo second place. Some of you may thought he was turning his career into a full-time practice round interviewer. Nope, day 2 he held on to that second place. However, this time was down by 6 strokes. Headed to Glendover East for round 3 and 4, some better scores were being put up. Cole Redolin moved up 12 spots after tying the hot round of the day that made everyone forget they hated him 3 weeks ago. Ricky Wysocki and Calvin Heimberg would also find themselves in the lead card for the final day, but that's not really much of a surprise. I do want to know, what are your guys' thoughts on playing the same course for rounds 1 and 2 and then a separate for 3 and 4? Doesn't really seem to have an impact on things, but seems weird not to switch it up every other round. I'm sure there was some logical reason that I'm not being told about, but different. Drop a comment how you guys felt about it. Hard to argue when these courses seem to be some of the prettiest we see all year. You might be wondering why I haven't talked about the person who was in first place. Well, that's because Gannon Buhr is nasty. Starting off the tournament with a 2-stroke lead that he was able to extend all the way to 10 by round 3. Sure, he waited till the final day for his worst round, but that's probably because he was too hyped up on Mountain Dew and Little Debbie snacks from the night before, I bet. I'm sorry, but if somehow Gannon lost that, there would have been the biggest choke section you've seen on this channel, and we made a whole video about Barella's European Open. Sorry for the stray, AB, but makes the joke hit harder than this win does. Gannon claiming both Elite Plus events this season, extending his point lead, which I'm sure you guys have no idea about, so I'll update you. As you can see, Buhr has over 100 more points than the next closest player, that being Anthony, and he has 3 wins this season. People might have forgotten that's still more than Gannon's 2. However, this is where the debating begins. What holds more value, winning 2 Elite Plus events or 3 standard tournaments? Good thing we have plenty season left to go, and I'm willing to bet they both get at least 1 more win, and I think that's a safe call. The scariest thing I see when looking at the stats is I wouldn't even call this a dominating Gannon Buhr, which sounds absurd to say out loud after that victory, 33% from C2 is incredible. We've seen him go over 50%. Once there's a tournament every facet of his game is on, he'll blow people out of the water. Like I said, terrifying. Especially when I haven't even mentioned that he's not even 20 years old yet, and he's displaying this level of success. Once he has enough money to buy onion rings without knowing the price, let's talk about what dominating is. As far as I'm concerned, Gannon has started to separate himself from the pack, and I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. The dude has only taken outside the top 10 once this year, but since he pouts when he gets an uncalled for spit out, people don't like him. I'm sorry, but can we just get over that? There are professional athletes in every sport that demonstrate their emotions, and I think we should be able to excuse that. It's not like he's flipping people off and saying the F word. At least then I would be the #1 Buhr fan. But no, throws his hands up and maybe makes a goofy face. Big deal. Simon folded a putter this year, yet he's more golden than Ponyboy in everybody's eyes. When someone wakes up every morning pissing that kind of excellence, I'll let him degrade the veteran baskets. But I'm a sucker for someone who's playing at the top of their level. You know why? Because I like watching good disc golf. And if you can show me that, I'll ignore most of the antics. I mean, I did become a Nico fan for a reason back in the day. Too bad now my discs smell like a hippie girl's room, but it's the sacrifices you make. Cole Redon was able to snatch his best finish of the year in second place, only 8 strokes back of Gannon. Ricky with another podium he can add to the collection. And rounding out the top 5, there was a tie at 4 down between Aaron Gossage and Isaac Robinson. Now for some weekend quick hitters. Clay Edwards smashing the field over in Norway. Being a Biggie Smalls fan, Chris Dickerson skipped out on the West Coast again, but he's still making headlines with an 18 under at a local tourney. Jake Wolf is making his girl hold all 54 discs he has in his bag. Also includes a beach towel, water bottle, rangefinder, tape, rain cover, and the rest of the essentials. Getting in a better workout than baby clothes Ezra Aderhold. Cupcake pulls out some karaoke to loosen up the vibes.
Watch me smack that all on the floor, smack that, give me some more, smack that, till you get flows.
Fans return Haley King's greenie after being lost. Some pros take it to Dave & Buster's to let off their steam on some skee ball. And that's everything you need to know from the weekend. With a second Elite Plus over, the disc golf season is about to head into the exciting part of the season, with the European swing just around the corner. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to not miss out on anything disc golf. Shout out to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting the channel. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we love, so we appreciate each and every one of you.